Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Achaturvadano Brahma Dvibahuraparo Harihi Abhalalochana Shambhu Bhagavan Badarayanaha. Om Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Shri Rama Geeta, in the verse number 48, which we had seen last, it was said that for a person who has practiced karma yoga, attained the required purity of mind, surrendered to a guru, listened to the knowledge imparted by the Guru, Shravanam, reflected upon the heard knowledge, Mananam, and after that trying to contemplate, practice meditation to experience and abide in this knowledge. For such a person, when such a one needs some support, then Omkara Upasana has been advised. It is said that all this entire universe actually is that Brahman only, that Brahman expression only is this universe, and that is indicated by the word, the sound syllable Om. And this Omkara Upasana helps a seeker to abide in this knowledge, to slowly glide into this abidance. So what is this Omkara Upasana? So we briefly saw that before. Now here Bhagavan Shri Ramchandra ji only is very briefly touching upon this Omkara Upasana, which we had mentioned that it is taken up for discussion even in the Mandukya Upanishad and its Karikas written by Sri Gaudapadacharya ji, the Guru of Sri Adi Shankaracharya ji. So here this topic has been taken up, verse number 49, we shall first read. Akara sanyaf purusho hi vishwako Hyukarakastayjasa iryate kramat. Rakastayjasa iryate kramat. Prajño makaraf paripathyate akhilaihi. Prajño makaraf paripathyate akhilaihi. Samadhi purvam natu tattvato bhavet. This Omkara Upasana, here it is said, it is Samadhi Purvam. It is before the abidance is attained. Samadhi is abidance in that knowledge. Before that, not Tattvataha. When once one has realized that, is abiding in that knowledge, then all this is not required. It doesn't, these things need not be considered. But now, what is this Upasana? So here, Upasana itself we had seen to superimpose something great, noble on something ordinary, which is known, something unknown, something on something which is very familiar. For example, a Shivalinga is made up of a stone. It has a shape which is both looks like a particular form, but it actually is not any particular form. That kind of a shape is there. So that becomes a symbol which is familiar to us, which is seen by us, which can be worshipped by us, but it is a symbol on which we superimpose the idea of the Lord. Now, in this, the beauty is superimposition, although we call it a superimposition with our mind, but actually the Lord is. There in that form, the Lord is there. We are not able to see it, we see only a stone. But when we superimpose, what happens? It is an attempt to see. We are not still seeing it, but still we are having that bhava. So, therefore, upasana is more of bhavana, bhava pradhan. So it depends on the person who is looking at it. The person who doesn't have any samskara of Shivalinga will look at it as a stone of that shape. That's all. But for a person who has the samskara of a Shivalinga, then that person will see this is Lord Shiva himself. So this is the difference. So in upasana, it is depending on the person who is performing. So therefore the word superimposition is used. It is very different from the superimposition of Vikshepa that was talked about in Maya. That Maya, there is one power of veiling, avarana, and on that there is another power of superimposition, Vikshepa. So that superimposition is different. That is because of the ignorance. Here it is the attempt to go towards knowledge. And here actually it is factual. It is not even that God is not there, but I am imagining God to be. No, it is not like that. He is there, but I am not able to recognize, so at least I am doing it with my bhava. That is the idea. Even now, tomorrow, all of us are going to do upasana. How? There is a stick and a cloth. Cloth having 3 colors and a chakra in the center. We are going to stand in front and salute. Why? Why are you saluting to a cloth? What is the big deal? And you will unfurling the... It's a piece of cloth after all. Why are you saluting? Because what we have done is, we have superimposed the country, the idea of that whole nation, Bharat Mata, on that piece of cloth, the Tiranga. And then we salute. That is so this is upasana only. So here also, it is said the upasana. So upasana is something familiar, something tangible, something that we can relate to, something our mind knows about. That is used as the symbol to elevate our mind. It is as though a launch pad where we are taken to where? Not somewhere up or far away, to the self. That is why when we go to the temple, we just look there for a second and then close our eyes. Because that only becomes a means to bring us back with Him. So this is upasana. Nikrishta vastuni utkrishta buddhihi upasana. So nikrishta vastu, ordinary thing. But utkrishta buddhi, a noble thought. So this upasana here, now Omkara upasana. So Omkara is familiar with us, we all chant Om. It is the first sound that is uttered before every Veda mantra is chanted. We start with Om, any Veda mantra, Sahanavatu, Om Sahanavatu. Even any prayer we want to start, Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Om. It starts with Om. Sometimes nothing else somebody speaks. I am in Mauna. But that person will say Om. Om is allowed. Om. 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 So some people have this vrata also. They will say only Om. People go for bhiksha. Om. So that person gives bhiksha. Om. So this Om is so common, we all have chanted, we keep listening also. So now this Omkara, which is so familiar, so close to our lives, he says, use that as a launch pad to go with it. Now how? So step by step. He says, Om, the word, although it is a single syllable, it is called. Means for pronunciation, we don't have to keep moving. It is not multiple, it's just one single. Om. In one go, we can chant. That is all single syllable. Now this Om, it is made up of three sounds. A, U, M. So these three, Akara, U, Ukara. Kara means sound. Akara means the sound A. Ukara means U. And Makara, M. A, U, M. Together, Om. This is the single letter. Okay. Now, what to do here? So he says, this Akara, Akara Sanyaha Purushaha, he Vishwakaha. Vishwakaha. Now, little bit before we understand these words, we have talked about the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. And in the three states, we also saw that the experiencer of the Jagrat Avastha, who is identified with the gross body, is called Vishwa. We have seen this word. Then, identified with the subtle body, the main experiencer of the dream world is called Taijasa. This word also, these are all familiar. Already Bhagavan has talked about all these. And in the deep sleep state, when there is no other experience, but I was definitely there, that experiencer of nothingness was called Prajnaha. The one identified with the causal body, Karana Sharira Abhimani. So, Sthula Sharira Abhimani, Vishwa, Sukshma Sharira Abhimani, Taijasa, and Karana Sharira Abhimani, Prajna. So, these three we had seen. Now, this is from the individual standpoint. Now, from the total standpoint also, the total gross world that we can see now. That is called Virat. So, in the individual, it is Vishwa. In the total, Virat. Similarly, individual Taijasa, which is subtle body, the one who is identified with the subtle body is called Taijasa, not the subtle body. Subtle body is called Sukshma Sharira. But Sukshma Sharira Abhimani is called Taijasa. And same way, the total Sukshma Sharira or the Sukshma Jagat, the whole realm of thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything, that whole total mind, the one who is identified with that total mind is called Hiranyagarbha, this word. And the counterpart, individually, Prajna, the one who is identified with Karana Sharira, and the total Karana Sharira, one who is identified is Ishvara. So, at the gross level, Vishwa, Virat. Subtle level, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha. And causal level, Prajna, Ishvara. So, this is all, the one who is identified with the individual gross body is called Vishwa. The one who is identified with the total gross world is called Virat. So, that way we should understand. It is not the body itself is not called Vishwa, Taijas, Prajna, and or the world is not called Virat, Hiranyagarbha or Ishvara. It is the one who is identified. And the one who is identified actually is pure consciousness. So actually Brahman identified with individual gross body is called Vishwa. Brahman identified with total gross world is called Virat. That same Brahman identified with the individual subtle body is called Taijasa. That same Brahman identified with the total subtle body is called Hiranyagarbha. That same Brahman identified with the individual causal body is called Prajna. That same Brahman identified with the total causal world is called Ishvara, or total causal world means Maya. Individually it is called Avidya or Karana Sharira. Total is called Maya. Only one clarification before we go ahead. Now if individual gross body, Vishwa, now with respect to that, Virat is the aggregate of the entire gross bodies and the gross world, which means he is, now this one body has so much strength and this has so much more strength. Okay. Same way, little bit of knowledge, individual subtle body, total mind, so much of, feelings, emotions, all these things is there. Okay, now causal body, individual, avidya. So total, oh, he is the greatest avidya he has. Is it that way? If we understand this, we have to. I do not know myself. That is why I am identified with individual, little thing. The one who is identified with the infinite, he is the infinite. So therefore, there is no ignorance there. We have to, otherwise what we will say, that individual gross body, total gross body. So total gross is much bigger than this. So then individual ignorance, then total ignorance. So much more ignorance. There is no ignorance actually. That is why it's a total causal body, okay, but there is also Maya. Maya, what is Maya? It is not ignorance. Maya, that is why it is called two types of Maya are there. Avidya Maya, which is limiting, and Vidya Maya is all-knowing. So that is why Ishvara is Sarvajna and Jiva is Alpajna. The main causal avidya is there in us, whereas Ishvara is all-knowing, Maya. And Maya is that infinite possibility, that potential, that can express in any way, with knowledge. So that is Ishvara. Anyway, so now coming back here. So if we understand Vishwataijas Prajna, so here for the Upasana, Bhagavan is saying, Akara Sanyaf Purushaha hi Vishwakaha. A is to be, A is there as the symbol. Superimpose the thought of Vishwa on A. Now what is Vishwa? Brahman identified with the individual gross body. So this sadhana is for individual. But here Puja Gurudev is explaining the same thing as, if we understand individual, then it can be extended to the total also. As such, when we say one drop of water and ocean full of water, in water and water, is there any difference? No difference. Similarly, if we say one individual gross body and total gross body, actually speaking, it is the same Panchikrita Panchamahabhuta only. Where is the difference in as such, if we look at it? So if we see individual tree and collection of trees, now collection of trees we call it a forest. But actually as far as the tree is concerned, it is the same. So that is why in that sense, if we look at this individual total, actually in the Upadhi also there is no difference. And the Upahita, the one who is identified with the Upadhi also there is no difference. Then where is the difference? If we think about it, there is no difference. There is only Advaita. But still, we have this whole entire sansara. And we are saying, I want to get out of this. I want to get freed from this. All this is coming because we have given reality and established differences in all these different things. We say that yes, this difference is real. Actually speaking, where is the thing? This man was selling some sweet on the shop. He was a Brahmajnani. He was selling sweet shop, family business, he was selling. So one person came. He said, I want sweet. Okay, how much do you want? He said, I want 1 kg, but give me from the best part. There was one big cake kind of thing. Like, give me a slice from the best part. So he said, every part is the best part. He was not talking about the cake. He was saying that consciousness is there everywhere. He's just that one. Anywhere you take, it is the same. So here, this akara, when we are chanting Om also, the further in the next 2 shlokas, it is further, detail is talked about. But for now, that Omkara in that stands for, so it is superimposition of the Vishwa. Who is Vishwa? I am only Vishwa, Jiva. We said Vishwa is equal to Tejas, is equal to Prajna, is equal to Jiva. So that Jiva who is now identified with this gross body only, that identity is called Vishwa. So superimpose the idea of Vishwa. Now what is this Vishwa? Identified with the gross body. Now identified with the gross body, what is this Vishwa doing? Experiencing the gross world. So the entire gross world and the gross body and the gross world experiences, everything put together. So when does this happen? This happens in the waking state. So the waking state, the gross world that is experienced in the waking state, and the one who is identified with the gross body and is the waker and is experiencing this world, that Vishwa, all this put together is then Ukara. Ukarakaha Taijasairyate Kramat. So next one. U stands for Taijasa. So now Taijasa means, what does it include? The one who is identified with the individual subtle body, experiencing the subtle world, the total subtle world, and all these experiences, which takes place in the dream state. All this put together is O. Okay? Because Taijasa exclusively, where is he experienced? In waking state also Taijasa is there. But primarily it is Vishwa. Similarly, in Swapna Avastha, Taijasa is the main player. There also Prajna is sitting there also. But the main player is Taijasa. So, in Swapna Avastha, that Taijasa experiencing the Swapna Jagat or the Sukshma Jagat is called U, is superimposed on U. Then Ma. Prajnaha makaraha paripathyate akhilaihi. So all the great people, knowers of this upasana, say that this Ma sound, on that superimpose prajna. Now prajna means in Sushupti Avastha, the one who is identified with the individual causal body and is experiencing what? Nothingness. That one is Ma. So A, Vishwa, U, Taijasa, Ma, Prajna. All this superimposition, why required? Why this upasana is required? When is it required? Samadhi Purvam. Before Samadhi only. Because once that happens, Tattvataha, in that establishing in the Tattva, then na bhavet. It is not required. Acha. Now, what should we do? Okay, superimposition is done. And this whole thing is also given in on page number 103 of this book. If you see, we have a full chart which Puja Gurudev has given just to understand what we just discussed. Now, further we will read the verses 50 and 51. He is giving us the procedure of this upasana. Very briefly, he is saying, Vishwam tvakaram purusham vilapayet. Purusham vilapayet. उकार मध्ये बहुधा व्यवस्थितम् बहुधा व्यवस्थितं ततो मकारे प्रविलाप्य तैजसं ततो मकारे प्रविलाप्य तैजसं द्वितीयवर्णं प्रणवस्य चान्तिमे द्वितीयवर्णं प्रणवस्य चान्तिमे मकारमप्यात्मनि चिद्घने परे मकारमप्यात्मनि चिद्घने परे विलापयेत् प्राज्ञमपीह कारणं विलापयेत् प्राज्ञमपीह कारणं सोऽहं परं ब्रह्म सदा विमुक्तिमत् सोऽहं परब्रह्म सदा विमुक्तिमत् विज्ञानदृङ्मुक्त उपाधितो अमलः ज्ञानदृङ्मुक्त उपाधितो अमलः. So Bhagavan is saying now how we chant this Om. Puja Gurudev, we must have read texts like in Kindle Life, where Gurudev has given this beautiful rationale of spiritual life, which is there in the scriptures also very elaborately in the Upanishads, etc., and very many Prakarana Granthas also it is given, that whenever we are lost somewhere, how to find our way? So you have to trace back our steps. I went this way, I am lost. Now I have to see which direction did I come from. Let me start tracing back my steps. Then what will happen? Where I began, I will reach there. I have come back home. So this is the process. In the scriptures, it is said, in the technical terminology, it is said the getting lost part is called Adhyaropa. Adhyaropa means this superimposition because of ignorance. That is called Adhyaropa. Aropa, Adhi Aropa, on some substratum which I am not aware of, I have superimposed something else. Adhyaropa. This is the path of getting lost. So, how did it begin? I do not know my own self. Therefore, I started considering myself to be something else. So, I start considering myself to be this body aggregate. Now, considering myself to be this body, I have formed relationships. So, first, I faulty, and with that I am finding relationships which are my. So, I and my, this is my samsara. This becomes my world. And I am suffering. Because the I that I have identified with and now I consider myself is extremely limited and I am infinite. It is like wearing a shoe which is smaller than our foot size. Even one size smaller if we wear and walk the whole day, one day only, we know how much pain we go through and how eager we are to just remove them and throw away. We all must have experienced at some point such an experience, any kind of thing. Now here, infinite self into this little body, not one size smaller. This is infinite into one little finite body, and considering myself to be only this, and not walking for one day. For lifetimes together I've been walking in this. How much suffering will I be going through? But still, because of my attachment to the shoe, I say this shoe, somebody has given me, it is such a gift, and I like it. The design is so beautiful, the color is so good. I am not comfortable, but still it is so nice, so I'll still keep wearing it. That is what we have been doing. This is so nice. It is giving me some momentary joy. I feel happy. People are appreciating also. People are giving me love. I don't want to miss this. I don't want to leave this. Let it be. I am suffering. Let it be little bit suffering. No problem. But it is so good. I will keep this. This is called Adhyaropa. my journey towards getting lost, and I'm completely lost. Then there's no idea of what's happening. After that, the next, I have to trace back my steps. How did I come here? What happened? At some point, some thought comes that also with Kripa only this happens. Where am I? What am I doing? How did I reach here? And then slowly start tracing back my steps. First, give up the likes and dislikes, give up the minus, the possessiveness, the attachments, slowly, slowly, and then work on the I-ness, that real I. This is not the real I. Where is the real I? Who am I really? And then reach home. This is called apavada. Adhyaropa, apavada. Getting lost, finding my way back. Adhyaropa, apavada. This is our journey of every jiva. Sooner or later, every jiva goes through this. Once one great saint was there. He's still there, but I met him few years ago. He said very beautiful thing. He said that gadha jo hota hai, Hindi, he used Hindi. I'll just translate it. He said a donkey, washerman, etc. uses the donkey for his work. So why is donkey considered to be like, bilkul buddhiheen? Why? Said there are other pets also, which many people have, dogs, cats, etc. If they are sent somewhere away or someone takes away also somewhere, they'll somehow find their way back. They are able to do that. Even horses and all. Sometimes they are lost. They will find the way. Sometimes they'll bring back the master also. Even if the master is unconscious, lying on the horse, they will come back. So most of the animals have this instinctive ability to trace back their steps, find their way home. This donkey, if it gets lost out of the way somewhere it goes by mistake, whatever, it cannot find its way. It is just looking there, standing there. This saint said that our rishis and all know that very well. So donkey, that is why, kabhi gaali bhi dete to gadha bolte. Because you don't understand this much, so you can't even find your own way back home, to your own home. So then what is needed? He says the master, that dhobi, has to go and catch hold of that donkey and say, this way, chalo. And then the donkey walks back and reaches. That saint did not stop there. The saint said, we jivas also, manushya janma, we are also lost. We are also not able to find the way back. Itna tak to gade jitne ho gaye. But uske baad he said, then Guru comes and tells us this is the way back, but still we don't walk back. तो बोले इसीलिए किसी को गधा मत बोलना, गधे को बुरा लगेगा. Because हमारी हालत तो उससे भी खराब है. Even when Bhagavan is coming in the form of a guru, and guru is showing us the path, this is the way, you have got lost, come back, adhyaropa apavada, and still little bit let me enjoy, I will come, you go ahead, I will come. So this is our journey of adhyaropa apavada, finding back our way. So here this Omkar Upasana also beautifully takes us back home. This is very beautiful. How when we chant Om, naturally the sequence A, U, M. This is the sequence we chant. And after Om, there is some silence. A, U, M. This is the natural sequence. So here, what is this upasana? So we have already superimposed. Now this superimposition trying to trace back our steps to home through Om. How? Vishwam tu akaram purusham. Vishwa, which is here represented by akara, vilapayet ukara madhye. This Vishwa, and what is Vishwa? Bahudha vyavasthitam, which is expressing in various ways. In the waking state, this Vishwa expresses in various ways, does various things, gets dressed up nicely, makes so many different relationships. All these things is happening. Sees things, hears things, enjoys things, suffers things, and all these physical contacts. So this Bahudha Vyavasthitam Vishwam Purusham Akaram, which is represented by Vilapayet, merge it into Ukara Madhye, into U. Now in our chanting it naturally happens. That is why we don't chant as we don't say U. It naturally happens. And U, Sandhi rule, makes it O only. But actually O has and U. So this merging of into U is naturally happening when we chant. But in Upasana, as we are chanting, we are also trying to merge that this Vishwa is actually Taijasa. Both are one. But this Vishwa activity in the waking state withdrawn into and as we chant, it is absorbed into U, which stands for Taijasa. Then Tataha Makare Dvitiya Varnam Taijasam Pravilapya. Then after that, as we chant U followed by Ma. So this U is merging into Ma. It is flowing into Ma naturally in the chanting. Similarly, in the Upasana also, the Vishwa merges into Taijasa, and this Vishwa Taijasa merge into Prajna. So this Dvitiya Varnam, Pranavasya Chantime Makare, Dvitiya Varnam Taijasam Pravilapya. This second syllable U, which is representing Taijasa and his experiences, is merged into Ma. Like the sound also is merging into Ma. And Makaramapi, and this Ma also, the sound, which stands for Prajna, Prajnam, which is Iha Karanam, which is Karana Sharira, Karana Sharira Abhimani. That Prajna, Vilapayet, merge it into Atmani Chidghane Pare, that Supreme Self, Pare Atmani, which is Chidghana, which is pure consciousness. Merge it into that. When we chant Om, naturally this flow is happening. And we all chant, let us chant once. What happened naturally? Naturally, flowed into O into Ma into silence. This is a natural process. Now, if stands for Vishwa, that merges into what U stands for, that is Taijasa. Then that U merges into Ma, which stands for Prajna. So Vishwa Taijas Prajna, U Ma. It is the sound that is heard, is the expression that is seen. But that which is not seen is represented by that which is not heard. Vishwa Tejas Prajna is what? Expression of that Brahman only through the gross, subtle and causal bodies. Expression of that Brahman. Whether it is Vyashti or Samashti, whether it is individual or total, whether it is microcosmic or macrocosmic. But expression of that Brahman through these three bodies, gross, subtle and causal, is Vishwa Tejas Prajna. Right? Now, let's talk about the symbol, Om. A-U-Ma is what? That is only a heard sound. But what is sound? Sound is the disturbance created in silence. So it is actually expression of silence as vibrations. Puja Gurudev beautifully defines music. He says music is the ornamentation of silence. It is an expression of silence which is beautiful. This Om also, it's a sound that is heard. But what is it? Actually, it's a disturbance that is in the silence. When that is stopped, what remains is always silence. So actually, it is the expression of silence in the heard form. And that which is not heard is the silence. Similarly, Brahman, not experienced as an object, but the expression of that Brahman is in the form of Vishwa Tejas Prajna in the three states. Clear? Three states, Vishwa Tejas Prajna, expressions of Brahman only, same Brahman. Brahman which is not experienced as an object. But this Vishwa Tejas Prajna are the expressions of that same Brahman in these three states through these three bodies. Om, the symbol, A-U-Ma, three syllables, are heard sound, which is the expression of that silence which is never heard. So, naturally, when the upasana is done, the chanting is merged into U, merged into M, merged into silence. Same way, what these sounds, syllables represent, that also have to be merged. So that Vishwa, which is expressing itself in this waking state, here the Omkara Upasana, what do? We merge it into that subtle state expression. That subtle state expression merged into the causal state existence. And that causal state existence, which is also an expression, merges into that supreme self, which is me. So as we chant, when the representation is clear in our mind, automatically the merging of my own personalities and expressions into my true self will happen. When I do Abhisheka on the Shivalinga, if my upasana, the samskara of that upasana is so clear, then when I am pouring milk on that Shivalinga, I will never consider it as pouring it on a stone. I will see that I am giving a bath to Bhagwan Shivaji himself. I am doing his Abhisheka. I will never think, oh, I am doing Abhisheka for a stone. Because my samskaras are strong. That this is Shivaji only. Do we ever feel, why am I feeding food to a stone? Because we don't see stone there. What we are seeing is the Lord there, who is accepting it. We are just trying to offer with gestures, but actually we feel that He is accepting our offering. We are offering flower, we feel that He is accepting our flowers. We are offering it to the Lord and not to that symbol which is in front of us, not merely to that symbol. We are seeing the Lord present there. Similarly, this Ma, I am just chanting casually, that is one thing. But when my upasana is deep-rooted, When I say A for me stands for Vishwa and is all experiences. U stands for Taijasa and all experiences. Ma stands for Prajna and all experiences. And that silence stands for that supreme, pure consciousness, self. Which that when that is very clear, then just chanting of Om, like offering of water, chanting of Om, this process happens. And that silence, I get established. And that is the way of finding our way back home. So now I am living as Vishwa in the waking state. And this practice has to happen only in the waking state. It is not that merge the Vishwa into Taijasa, so let me sleep and go into the dream world. No, this practice has to happen. Sadhana is possible in the waking state. But in the waking state, I am only as the Vishwa. Now, wind up. Oh, I am Taijasa. No, further wind up. Oh, I am Prajna. No, further wind up. What remains? All this is gone, merged into silence. What is that? That supreme self, where Vishwa, Taijas, Prajna expressions are not there. That I am established. This is Omkar Upasana. Using a sound for getting back home. So, here also, what is the symbol? The symbol is the sound. And what are we superimposing? The expressions of that same self in the different states of experiences through the different upadhis. And when that chanting is there, same time, if this also happens. And that is why some traditions, the Omkara Upasana is done, sometimes they just chant This is preparatory, starting stage. Why? Because you chant, what are you actually doing is, you are superimposing that Vishwa and his experiences on earth. That is what is happening at that time. Then only Taijasa, making it strong. Prajna. And at that time, silence is not prescribed. Now only Upasana is happening. And then they say, these are all techniques, I'm just sharing. These are different techniques. Then they say that you chant longer than U and Ma short. Again, making that Upasana happen strongly. Then you chant A and Ma short and U long. Then A and U short, Ma long. Here also no silence. Here also just keep chanting this much. Because then what happens is that Upasana becomes more deep-rooted. After that, it is said, now chant Om and silence. Then again chant Om, silence. And while we are chanting, what is happening? A stands for Vishwa, O, then outer layer, inner, me. And there in that silence, only I am there. Then nothing else is there. This is coming back home. So here Bhagavan is giving us a return ticket. Omkara Upasana. Road map to return home. He says, once that happens, when we reach that silence, that pure consciousness, the Supreme Self, Soham param brahma sada vimuktimat vijnana dring mukta upadito amalaha. Then after that, the seeker just is there, but nothing more to be done. Then saha aham, I am that. Then there is no further merging, doing this, doing that, because all the expressions are gone. Now only that Supreme Self remains. Param Brahma, that which is beyond everything. But beyond that, there is nothing else. That Brahman, infinite. Sada Vimuktimat, I am ever free, ever liberated. Vijnana Drik, the one who has been endowed with a vision of knowledge. Only vision remains, nothing else. Even the seer doesn't remain. Only the vision remains. Because for the seer, some scene is required. Here all the scene is merged into the seer, and the seer also ultimately is gone. Because without the scene there is no seer also, no drashta also. Then what is remaining? Only drishti. Only that supreme vision, vijnana drik. That vision. Muktaha upadhitaha, ever liberated from these upadhis. That such a realized master must still be living. He is living. It is not that free means he is left the body and all. Nothing. He is living. But he is liberated from the body. Means there is no I-ness in the body. There is not even minus in the body. Right now we feel that, okay, after listening to Vedanta, the I-ness, at least intellectually I say, this is my body, it is not me. That much at least I can parrot it, at least that much I am doing. But a jnani doesn't even have my body also. It's only I. Everywhere I. There's nothing else. If a fish living in the water says, this is my house, show me which is your house. This much is my house. After that, that is also water only. There is no boundary. There is no physical boundary also. No, this much is my house. After that, my neighbor's house starts. What is there? After that, it is all only one. There is no my also. There is no I also. So, Vijnana Drik, the one endowed with the vision of knowledge, Mukta Upaditaha, Amalaha, there is no mala, there is no impurity, means pure, pristine, one without a second. That is the state. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.